So welcome everyone to this video, and today I'm going to show you on how to capture PlayStation 2 games from your Elgato device. It depends which one you have, but of course I'm mostly going to do with the Elgato HD60S. If you have the original one, you could use it as well, or the 4K and the Pro. But of course I'm just going to show you the consoles, and I'm going to as well show you the equipment I use to capture the gameplay from the PlayStation 2. But right now, the consoles I have here are both slims. I have the 7000 series, which is the silver one, and the 9000 series, which is the black one. The only difference is the output for power, which is basically the battery in for the black one, and of course the silver one needs a 8.5 DC power volt. That's basically it. That's the only difference. Everything else is the same thing. They have the composite or component outputs, optical, and Ethernet. And of course I got these two memory cards a while ago, like probably maybe 5 to 4 years ago, and they're both 64 megabytes. I think it's 2 in 1 pack, I think, or I bought 2. But I think in total, I think it was like $12.99 for these two, which is not bad. You know, they're PlayStation 2 memory cards. I mean, what else can you do? I do have the original ones, but I keep those original ones away from everything because they have some of the old save files I had from a very long time ago. I did have another yellow memory card, kind of like the same size as these, but for whatever reason it wasn't that sturdy, and it broke on me for whatever reason. Like the whole shell just popped, and when I tried to connect everything back again, all of my save files were gone. So I'm basically trying to play all of my games all over again from the PlayStation 2 just to get those save files into my memory card. But that's the only difference between those two. There's nothing different about capturing two different PlayStations from two different, models, but it's just something to note about. And of course, we got the capture card, which we are going to talk about, and everything else you need from your equipment. But let's trans over to the capture cards. Right now I'm going to show you the capture cards I have: Elgato HD60S and the Game Capture HD. I do recommend you using the original one because it does support a certain resolution that the PlayStation 2 had, which is 480i. If you go to their website and you're trying to figure out what's their supported resolution, the original one does support it 24p, 24i, 480i, and 480p. But on the newer ones, like the HD60 and the later models, they only supported 480p and higher. Interesting information, just in case you have bought an Elgato because you want to record some of the older retro games if you can. But I'm telling you this right now that only the original one does support the lower resolutions, which this one only supported 480p and higher. And I'll leave the link down in the description as well to show you that these two capture cards have different supports for resolution. The reason why I say I do recommend you getting this one because it has a DIN connector. As you can see over here, the AV in, sorry if I can't, but it has a DIN and HDMI in, and of course in the back it got HDMI out and USB 2.0 port. So I would highly recommend you using this one. But the problem with this one is that the USB port gave out. I think it might be maybe the pins, or I don't know if I could solder them again. But so far this capture card does not work anymore. And as well, Elgato has discontinued this capture card, which is pretty sad. I was very disappointed that they do that because, this is the original one I had for like 5 years or 6 years already. But since they discontinue it, I cannot buy a new one. And of course, there's some people out there, probably on eBay or Amazon or anywhere else, that are selling it, but it's pretty expensive, which is stupid. But the original one was pretty awesome to record all the games, but everything was mostly 30 frames per second. Unlike the Elgato HD60 one, it's 60 frames per second. So I'm sorry Elgato, but you're not gonna, gonna use you in this video because you do not work. Now we have the original HD60S. As you can see, HDMI out and HDMI in with USB Type-C and an audio jack for, depending on what you're gonna use it for, output the audio. Now this one's gonna be a little bit more confusing because, like I said, this one does not support 480i or lower, but only 480p. So if you have games, it will support 480p on those PlayStation 2 games. But every other PlayStation 2 games that you mostly have seen, or if you have checked on Google itself, there's a compatibility list that you can see for yourself that if your specific game does support 480p. But if you do have a 480p game, it does work with this capture card, but you need ways to get around it to capture from everything HDMI only. So I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But just remember, anything that is 480i or lower does not support this one, only 480p and up. But don't worry, we're going to get that 480i signal to kind of transition into progressive scan at least, but you're still going to see the interlaced lines, which is a little bit, noticeable, but it's not something that is going to be heartbroken, but you can at least capture it with this capture card. But right now, we're going to transfer over to the cables that we're going to use today. So as you can see, I have the original PlayStation 2 composite cables, of course. Even if it's from PlayStation 3, you also get them as well. But these cables, you don't need them. These are the component cables I've been using for this situation. But I had the HD Retrovision PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 component cables. Like I said, I bought this on Amazon for about $40 or $39.99. And they work great. It's very bulky, as you can see from the cable itself. And the cables themselves right here, they're pretty well made. I do support what they did here, and it's truly amazing how they made these component cables for PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. But they work tremendously well. I give them props for what they did with these component cables for just their specific, of course, console. There's some other ones that they have made, but you have to check out their, of course, website just to make sure what other cables they have in store. But for my purpose, I'm also going to use it for PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. But the other one I have here, which is the Wii component cables from Rocket Fish. And these component cables, I think I bought them since 2011, I think. So as you can see here from the logo themselves, I think you could probably see it. It's a Rocket Fish logo. But I think they do not make these component cables anymore. But I remember I bought this because I wanted to capture gameplay from my original Elgato with the Wii. But as well, I could capture GameCube games with it as well. So mostly the Wii does support 480p, so you could use the Elgato HD60S with these cables, which is pretty good. So these are the component cables I have. They're individual, of course, but overall, through my testing and everything, these both work tremendously very well, and I highly recommend them. But I think only the Rocketfish component cables are going to be a little bit hard to get because I think they don't make them anymore, or they are discontinued. But the HD Retrovision, you could buy them from their website, or like I said, I bought them on Amazon, which is around $40, but they work tremendously well. And now we're going to transfer over to the most important item you need to get for your setup for PlayStation 2. So these are the things that we're going to use today that I've been using for the past 2 weeks already. And these are converter boxes. Well, most of them are. But they convert component to HDMI. We have the Portta converter box, the Avermedia, and of course the Enko product component to HDMI 1080p scaler. So we're going to use these to power our device for to get a signal. As you can see up here, they have power signal. In order for us to get our component signal to go through HDMI. And of course, the only difference between these two is that this one is a 1080p upscaler, so in the back you have an option to change it from 720p or 1080p by just clicking this little button. So you could hear it yourself, but you just click it and you get what you need to change it to 720p and 1080p. But of course, these both do support a 5 volts DC, while the Avermedia is just USB. It's connected to USB cable, which is 2.0 port, so you could connect it to your PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3, or even on the Wii itself too, in the back of the Wii, so you could do that as well. But these are the products that we're going to use today. I'm going to go through each one of them. We're going to start with the Portta, the Avermedia, and of course the last one, the Enko. But just remember the difference between both of them. This is a converter. This one's also a converter, but even though it's from Avermedia, I think I do highly recommend you try and use it with their capture card, which I do not have. And of course, the Enko is a upscaler. Alright, so converter, upscaler. It's still a converter, of course, but we're upscaling it to 720p or 1080p. But I'm going to show you each one of them all by one. Start with the Portta, Avermedia, and the Enko, and show you some tests on how you could capture everything from your PlayStation 2 to your Elgato HD60S. But also there's one more box that I used before I bought all of these within the time frame. But the other one I had returned it because there were some not good things about it when I used it. But I'm going to show you that right now in the very beginning. And after that one, we'll continue on with these other converter boxes and show you which one works and which one doesn't work. Okay, so by the time I make this video, I just want to say I'm not using this converter box, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. But of course, this is component to HDMI, and I'm using the HD Retrovision component cables that I bought as well on Amazon. So these both products I bought from Amazon. Now this is the converter box from Becare. If I zoom it over here, right there, it's from Becare. It's new, and whatever it says that is 4K and everything, but I mostly just want to use this to capture gameplay footage from my PlayStation 2. But that's where things didn't go so well. So I use these component cables, of course. I have used other component cables, but for whatever reason they didn't work as well. So I decided to buy these because they're very professional made, and I could trust them with a lot of reviews that people had made with them. But when I use these on this box, my PlayStation 2, as you can see over here, there's the black one and of course the silver one. I used both of them, and for whatever reason the video footage will sometimes flicker black, and at least black a little bit on the top of the screen up here where my hands are, or my fingers. It will sometimes like show black or black lines, but it will just every 2 seconds, like it will pop in, pop out, show in, show out, like every single time. And then of course with the audio channels, somehow they don't give me audio, but when I go to my Elgato recordings, it gives me audio, but it's very distorted and high pitch, and it was just very bad for whatever reason. So somehow with this box with PlayStation 2, it does not work. And I have used two televisions. The one I have right next to me is of course a Samsung Smart TV. Another one is a Toshiba TV. So by doing that, it didn't want to work with PlayStation 2. But when I tried with PlayStation 3, it works fine. I don't know how, but with PlayStation 3 console, it does work fine. So that's the only takeaway. But as well with the Wii, I have my own Wii component cables as well, but they work fine with this box as well. But with the Wii, the audio channels will sometimes pop or distort a little bit, but it goes back to normal. I'm not sure why. But I will say I do not recommend getting this box if you are going to use PlayStation 2 on it. because like I said, I had those black bars and black spots that were showing in and showing out, and then there was no audio coming out from this box either. But in my software, it gets distorted and it's very high pitched, so I wouldn't recommend using this for PlayStation 2. So as you can see, I got my everything set up. Just to give you an example, there's the box itself, and the cables are going to the black PS2, and right now there's no audio. If I try to change it to my settings here, I know it's in optical out, but it still works even with optical out. But if I go to TV speakers, it still doesn't give me audio, and everything's, you know, high volume too. So somehow there's no audio coming through this box at all, and everything's the same. I mean, there's just no audio, and somehow the screen does work, but as you can see, there's some black lines right here coming out. So even if I try to use the PlayStation 2, it does not work. The video has black lines and there's no audio. Okay, same thing could be said with the silver PlayStation. As you can see, it's on. It's right there connected to the cables to the box, and still the same thing. There's no audio. Still same thing with the black and the black lines up here. Even if I play games, it still does the same thing. But if I go to my memory card, still nothing. It should make a sound, and I already have it, like I said, like very high up, and there's no audio. It should give me, you know, the little icon sound like do or whatever. But either way, everything is, you know, no audio, no nothing from both PlayStation 2s. I can't say it's the PlayStation 2's fault, but I think it might be the converter box. I'm not sure, but I still think it might be the converter box, because everything works with the PlayStation 3 and the Wii, but for whatever reason, it does not want to work with the PlayStation 2. Okay, everyone, this is the other converter box I got, which is from Portta, and it's the same thing. You got component in and HDMI out, even though it doesn't say it, but that's what we're doing. We're getting component to HDMI, and this is just a video converter. This is not a upscaler, and I'm going to show you some examples on just connecting to the TV and then connecting it to the Elgato, and everything is running by this little power, you know, adapter, and it's just a regular 5 volts DC power. So that's what we're going to do right now. But like I said, this is just a converter. It's not a upscaler, and I'm going to show you the resolution on my TV so that you know that it's only upscaling it. That means everything that we're playing is either going to be 480i or 480p. So right now, guys, hopefully you hear the sound, but right now everything is connected to my 4K TV, which is using TV speakers for the meantime, but it will sometimes switch to my sound bar as well, so they both do work. But right now I'm just connecting everything to the TV, and right now everything's connected to the TV HDMI. As you can see here, this is a TV HDMI, while the other one is the Elgato. But if we go to our resolution up here, it's 480 60i, so it's not upscaling it to 720p or 1080p. It's just a converter. But as well, I'm gonna change this system configuration to 4:3, because right now we're just gonna test out a game that is only 480i at the meantime, connected to the TV. And I also have another game that supports 480p, which is Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. It's the only game right now I have that supports 480p. So it doesn't matter what screen size you have it on in your console, you could still get 480p. But right now I'm keeping everything at 480p, and as well for my TV, I go to my settings, go to my picture, and everything's at 4:3. And of course I could go down here, even though you can't see it, it's too bright, but there's custom and 16:9. But I could put everything at those picture sites, of course. And picture mode only gives me dynamic, standard, natural, and movie. But right now I'm just going to close the console so you can see some gameplay on the TV, so that you don't feel like you're not getting anything. That means video and audio, like maybe one of them doesn't give anything, but that's what I'm going to show you right now. But like I said, this is a 4K 49-inch Samsung TV, and so far it's been doing okay on the converter box itself, which is down here. And like I said, it's connected to the TV only. But I'm just gonna show you some gameplay, just a little bit of gameplay, so that you will understand like how everything works. And then right now, after I show you some gameplay, I will turn it over to Budokai 3 because it supports 480p. But everything the same thing, 4:3. I'm just gonna skip everything so I can show you guys everything.
Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. I'll win. Please choose the mode you want to. Now, watch them. This is a serious time to fight. Once and for all, I'm better than Kakarot! training.
Okay, so now it's still the same thing. Everything's connected to the TV. And right now we have Budokai 3 only, not Tenkaichi. But we only have Budokai 3, which does support 480p. And like I said, I have everything set to 4:3. And everything is still interlaced, of course. As you can see up there, 480i. Even though it's 60i, but it is 480i. So that's what we have right now. And the way to get 480p to work, well, mostly on some of the games that do support it, is sometimes you have to click triangle and X at the same time to activate it. Sometimes some games will automatically do it, but there's a button combination you have to do to press those two buttons at the same time. When the PlayStation 2 logo pops up and you press it, and you just have to hold it down until there's a screen that tells you that you have to click yes if you want to progress the scan. But that's what we're going to do right now. So hopefully PlayStation 2 comes up. There we go. Press at the same time. And now we wait, still holding it. And there we go. We got progressive mode. And there you go. There is sound coming in. So we're going to say yes. And it just tell you that you need to have the official or any other component cables that do support with the TV 480p. And you're just going to click yes. And by right now you already know that you do get audio and video. But if we go to our TV resolution, it's 480p 60. So yeah, connecting to the TV and everything does support it, even games with 480p, but I am going to show you gameplay just in case.
You can continue from a previously saved game.
Hey, it's me, Goku! So which are you going to play? Choosing a... Wait, what? Counter! Get them... Accept my challenge, Kakarot! Right, let's do it! Ready!
Okay, right now we have everything connected to the Elgato HDMI, and right now I have Budokai Tenkaichi 3 on, and right now everything's turned on, but everything's connected to Elgato, which I have my software ready over here. And if I try to focus, everything is on other, HDMI audio, standard, profile. It doesn't matter which one you change it because our signal will always be at 480p, but it's not really, and right now I'll show you, but even though we change it to 720p or standard, does not work. Storage standard definition input, I check that out and I leave everything else turned on. But right now we're going to turn on our console without the lid on, so I could show you that you do not get audio at all while using this converter box. You're supposed to hear that, but there's nothing. And like I said, if we go up here, it's at 480i. And if we go back to our Elgato, yeah, you already see it. It's pretty bad. Even I change it to standard, it gives me all of this. So even if I try to close it and I try to open it again, just take a couple seconds. Even if I restart it, everything seems normal, right? Well, not really. So you can see up here, if I try to zoom in as much as I can, but I don't think it's not going to pick it up. But right now it's at 480p, 30 frames per second. Alright, so everything might seem it works fine, but not really. Like I said, I have everything as standard because it's not at 60p, but if I go to 720p, allowing 60 frames per second, it's not giving me the 60 frames per second at all up here. So even if I switch everything back to standard, it's still going to give me the same thing, don't need 30 frames per second. And I'm going to test it out for you guys right now. Let us close our lid. See, this is Budokai Tenkaichi 3. There's no audio at all connected to the HDMI. Right now, if we go over here, have this unchecked, but we are gonna uncheck it once everything runs through. Let me just get my controller. And there's no audio at all over here. But there's audio here. And I'm gonna mute this. So everything's playing fine, but like I said, the audio's distorted, high pitch, and even I press record, and when I end the recording, it's gonna fast forward everything. Just an example. Let's just record about, and let's do it 10 seconds. Right there. Here we go to our edit. And we play this back. So you already see that even if I capture everything, it's not that good, because this is the standard resolution is 480i. So you cannot play your games if they are at 480i. And last thing I forgot to mention, up here again, 480i. But now we're going to switch over to Budokai 3 because that supports 480p. So let me switch over to Budokai 3. Okay, everything the same thing. Budokai 3 in there. And everything Elgato, same thing to our capture card over here. I haven't changed anything, everything the same thing, except for over here. I might have to change, well, we'll see. Because everything's still at standard. Yeah, everything is still at standard right now, so we're going to see if it still captures 480p on here. If not, I have to switch it to 720p. But for the meantime, let's do everything all over again. Let's close the lid and activate 480p on Budokai 3. You know, if I only wish I had, like, you know, a normal tripod or something for my camera, but I don't. So again, press these two buttons. Still holding them. There we go. Do you wish to change the progressive mode? Say yes. And you go up here. It's 480p 60. Okay, we got audio. And back over here. Again, 720p, but up here, if you, hopefully you can see it, but it's at 480p 60 frames. So you're just gonna keep it there. And right here, our input is at. Let me lower this down because it's a little bit loud on the right side. So you could probably see it, but it's at 720, 480. 60 frames, but the output is at 60, 40 by 480. So it's working, but right now I'm just gonna press continue, go to load, and then right now I'm just gonna show you some gameplay from the Elgato itself. I am gonna record some of the gameplay so you can see it for yourself, but right now I have everything that we're going to record in standard. So right now, once I get these characters configured, right now I'm going to switch over to my Elgato. And we're going to start hitting record. But like I said, everything should be the same thing. Well, let's change it to standard. If it still gives us 60. No, it does not give us 30 frames per second. So I will try to record both of them, 30 frames and 60, to tell the difference. But right now we have it at standard. So let us click record. I'm going to click record, and then I'm going to show you as well the 60 frames per second one.
Accept my challenge, Kakarot!
Right, let's do it. Ready.
Prepare yourself!
Eat this.
Yeah!
want to fight you again.
Accept my challenge, Kakarot!
Right, let's do it. Ready. Fight.
Ready, set, go! You're finished!
I want to fight you again.
Okay everyone, so right now we're gonna do the same thing on this other, I guess it's an adapter. I can't say it's a converter box, but it's from Avermedia. And like I said, everything I bought is from Amazon, so I'll leave the links down in the description. But this one has HDMI out, and then it has component in, and it's powered by its own USB port. I think it's USB 2 only, so you could connect it to your PlayStation 2 USB or PlayStation 3, and so you could plug it into the back of your TV if you want to, or maybe a power supply that supports USB powered. But as well, this is just a, I guess you could say, another converter box. You know, it's not an upscaler. It's not upscaling even in their, where is it at? I think I have the notes here. Okay, sorry, but I know for sure in their website, I'll probably show it on screen a little bit. But it does support multiple resolutions that are like 480i, 480p, and the other resolutions too. I'm not sure about 24p or 24i. I'm not sure about that. I'm not going to test that out because we're just mostly focusing on PlayStation 2. But it's not an upscaler. It's just a box, a converter box, kind of like the other ones too. It's just that, you know, you get your input and you display it to your HDMI. That's it. It's not an upscaler. But I'm going to show you that if it works on your TV, and as well if it does work on the Elgato. Okay, right now guys, everything is good to go. Everything's connected to the Avermedia over here box, connected to the USB power on the PlayStation 2, and everything's connected to the HD Retrovision. Right now everything's just connected to the TV, the HDMI TV. So right now I have Budokai Tenkaichi 3 in there, and we're gonna close it. No, wait, before we close it, we're gonna turn it on to see if we get audio at least. So we do get audio. So everything's still the same thing. System configuration. If we go to screen size, 4:3, and our resolution up here is 480 60i. So I'm just gonna show you some little gameplay as well. We're gonna close it, and I'll just fast forward, or I'll just skip everything ahead so you can see it for yourself.
There, you can.
Now, then watch that this is a serious one. Time to fight. Let's settle this, Kakarot.
It's been a long time since we fought seriously, huh? Fight!
So again guys, we're gonna do everything, same thing, with Budokai Tenkaichi 3 on. Everything the same thing, and we're gonna close it because we're gonna test out if 480p works, because that's how I do it. You know, gotta check every resolution at least for the PlayStation 2, because you know, I just really want to record PlayStation 2 games, but sadly enough that, you know, a specific device doesn't want to, you know, record it. So again, triangle X to activate 480p, and everything's still the same thing, you know, screen 4:3 on the system itself. Yes, progressive. You want to start the game? Yes. And if we check up here, now it's at 480p. So I'll just skip over everything. Just like I said, everything is at 4:3, and I'll just show you some gameplay.
You can start a new game or load an old one. Which will it be? You can continue from a previously saved game.
Hey, Jude.
my challenge, Kakarot!
Right, let's do it.
Ready! You disappoint me.
Okay, so now everything's connected to the Elgato. As I'm gonna show you, everything's still at 480i, and my HDMI is in the Elgato, which, as you can see here, everything's connected well, and the HDMI is connected to my Elgato, and there's still no sound. So no sound at all. I should get, like, you know, the music whatever in the background, but nothing. But if I go over to my capture card software, it may show that it has video and audio, but at the end of the day, it does not record the audio completely. It's very distorted and everything. If go to show you one more time, close everything. Then we're gonna go back here, and of course, yes, I could record everything else on my OBS, but that's just gonna be a little bit too much, you know, to make everything a lot more smoother. But if we go over here, we change everything's at 720p, and it will only allow 60 frames per second. So if you try to switch it to standard, it's only going to be 30 frames per second. So probably you already heard that. Let just got to try to continue everything, and as you can see up there, right up here, is 480 and 30 frames per second. It's supposed to be 60 because we're at 720p, but you could probably already hear it. So yeah, it does not work with recording it on the Elgato. Now, I know you should get an Avermedia capture card. Well, that's for another time. I wish I had one, but at the same time, I've been using Elgato for quite a while already, but I'm a little bit disappointed that they do not support the other resolutions. So yeah, everything's connected fine and well, but there's no audio going through the Elgato device. But we're gonna do one more test. We're gonna switch it over to Budokai 3. So everything's ready to connect. So everything is at normal, you know. I know it's a little bit mess, but right now we're gonna connect everything to the Elgato right now, and everything's at 480i. So we close it. And right now, everything that I'm going to record on the Elgato Right now it's at standard, so standard is only 30 frames per second, while everything else, or the other one that I'm going to record is at 60 frames per second at 720p. But either way, they should be hot. Oh, I forgot to do that. Hopefully I have a chance. I forgot to press triangle and X. Hopefully it gets it to me. There we go. Let's click yes. And you have to click yes right away in order to support 480p. If you just wait a little longer, it's going to go back to normal. So yes, we do have sound. So right now I'm going to show you gameplay on my Elgato 30 frames, and then I will show you the 60 frames per second one. But as you can see up here, it's 480 by 60p.
Accept my challenge, Kakarot!
Right, let's do it. Ready.
You're finished! Come on!
Share your energy with me.
Eat this! Eat this! You disappoint me! Accept my challenge, Kakarot!
Right, let's do it. Ready. Fight. I want to fight you again.
So the last box that we're going to use today, which is the Enko component to HDMI 1080p scaler. So yeah, I already showed you this from the very beginning, but I'm just showing this again. We're changing everything to component to 720p and 1080p output. So as you can see from the back, we have a switch here. You press on it and it'll switch 720p 1080p. Well, the only way to know about it if you have switches by going to the settings on your television to see if it's 720p or 1080p. But of course, everything is the same thing as the Portta. You know, just get a DC 5, output adapter which comes with it, and you should be good to go. And of course, everything is going through component to HDMI. But once we plug it in and everything is going to be at 720p or 1080p. But for the sake of this video, we're only going to do 720p because we don't want to stretch it even more, even though we do have the supported resolution for 1080p. So I'm going to keep everything at 720p normally throughout this whole video using this product. And we're going to see for ourselves if this really does the job done for the Elgato. Okay guys, so everything's connected. Everything's turned off. So we got the Enko with the component cables to the Silver PlayStation 2 with Becare 3, and we're going to turn it on to see if we get a signal, audio, and video. So it's on, of course, the first HDMI. So we do get audio. So as you can see out there, we got 720p 60 frames per second. So it works. Just idle. Remember, this is just idle. So we're going to switch it to 1080p if it works in the back of the converter box. Click on the switch. And now it's at 1080p. So it does work. But let's see if we get our screens correctly. So right now everything's still the same thing. But look at that. Even at 4:3. So the screen is still at 16:9. So if we switch it over here to our settings, see picture frame 16:9. So the box itself is keeping it at 16:9. So we go to right here to 4:3. Should be back to normal. Yes, everything's back to normal. And I think the last thing I need to do is put it on game mode and take this one off. So we have everything correctly. And like I said, everything's at 1080p, but I'm going to switch it to 16:9. And the only difference about having it on game mode is just the input lag, so that you don't feel like it's laggy on your system when you're playing some of the games. Let me go back to browser. And yeah, it looks fine to me. Looks fine to me. Let me just pop in my memory card. Let's see down here. Got our memory card ready. And everything should be good. There's nothing else I see here that doesn't work, so we're gonna close the lid. And we're gonna put the whole game on. And like I said, this game is at 480i. Everything's converting it, upscaling it to 720p for the moment. I don't want to do 1080p because it's also keep like stretching the image. As you saw from there, it had 16:9. Even if, you know, we had to change our screen size. I'm lowering down a little bit, but you probably could see already there's some lines happening. Remember, this is still interlaced. It's just making it into, you know, 720p. See, there's some lines right there. That probably has to do with the interlace. So it looks not bad. It looks okay. It's obvious, but it's not heartbreaking at all. Just gotta move it forward so it can show you gameplay, and then we're gonna move on to the Elgato. But right now, gotta show you some gameplay for a moment.
Dragon Ball Z, Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Check out my moves. Please choose the mode you want to.
You go on, go on it.
Now what? Now watch the. This is a serious time to fight. Let's settle this, Kakarot.
It's been a long time since we fought seriously, huh?
Okay, so now we're gonna do everything on 480p, and everything is still at 720p, 60 frames per second. And I have Budokai 3 on there, and of course I am gonna try to record the game itself, but I'm just showing you right now that everything works, but we're gonna change it to, of course, 480p for the game itself. And yes, both 1080p and 60 frames per second do work, even if you switch them. So again, hold it down. So far this box is doing what I wanted to do, but like I said, everything's through the TV itself. We're not doing it from the Elgato. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy that it does that, but we're gonna say yes. And like I said, everything's at 480p, so everything is starting to look a lot more better. You don't see the lines anymore because this is progressive scan. So looks like it works. But I'll switch over to the gameplay.
You can continue from a previously saved game.
Hey, it's me, Goku. So which are you going? Choosing a world tournament. Choose. We're watching. Check.
HDMI challenge catalog.
Right, let's do it. Ready. Fight.
You're finished. This is it.
Eat this. Ring out. I want to fight you again.
So again, now everything is connected to the Elgato. As you can see, everything is at 720p again, but hopefully you can hear that, but there is audio and video. We go to our capture device, everything is running normally how it should be, but just to give you my settings, everything's at 720p, and I keep, of course, stretch standard definition input, I keep it off, but everything's the same thing. I have it at other 720p, and of course if it's at 1080p, then you would change it to 1080p, but since we're running everything at 720p, everything should be fine. But yeah, there's audio and video going through, and don't worry, I will show you gameplay from the Elgato itself. But let's close it, because you never know, even if I have everything set up correctly, it may not work. You know, the game itself may not work, the console may not work, the TV or the capture card, we don't know. But I'm just showing you this right now just in case. Okay, we got the PlayStation 2 logo going. And we're gonna switch over here. And sorry if you hear like any pops or clacks or anything, that's me just trying to move everything. I wish I had like a stance or a tripod for my phone, but I do not have one. But yeah, it shows everything here. Now, of course, like I said, this is standard 16:9 screen size. So in your video editing software, you do have to change it to, or position it to 4:3. But here it is. Let me see. Oh, okay, now I know what. Okay, so it's working fine. So right now I'm gonna show you some gameplay with the 720p game with a 480i game, which is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. So let me fast forward to the gameplay.
Let's settle this, Kakarot.
It's been a long time since we fought seriously, huh?
Ready.
Try this! Sorry, but I couldn't afford to hold back.
Okay, so now everything is connected to, again, to the Elgato 720p. And we have Budokai 3, and we're gonna close it so that we can activate the 480p, which no matter what, it's gonna switch it to 720p and 1080p if you want to. But I know I'm going a little bit too much with this whole like switching over 480i games and everything, but you never know. You know, sometimes maybe 480p may not work, 480i may not work, so you know, there's a lot of games out there that may switch between those while some other ones they're just 480i or the whole game is 480p. So you never know. So keep everything progressive. Gonna click yes. Okay, we got audio, and then it's showing up over here at the capture card itself. But I'll switch it over to gameplay so you can see it for yourself with the Elgato device.
Accept my challenge, Kakarot!
Right, let's do it. Ready. Take this. Not bad.
You're finished!
Eat this. Not bad.
Come on!
That was pretty fun.
So it's conclusion time, everyone, and I'm gonna give you my, I guess, review and impressions and which ones I recommend you using before buying your own product of these, ones I bought from Amazon. So we're gonna start off with the Portta on the left side. So the Portta did its job done. It did everything that I wanted to do, but of course it did not capture the footage. That's the main problem with this one. So component to HDMI did a good job. Gave me the resolutions, the 480i, 480p, and even for the other consoles like the PlayStation 3, the Wii, and the Wii U too, worked well as well. But only connected to the TV. If you're trying to connect this to the Elgato device that I'm using, it did not capture the footage because it does not support the resolution. So you probably need to find another capture card or some other device that does support 480i in order to capture it. So, but any games that run 480p and that you want to record, they work great. But that's the only caveat, is that if you're trying to record every single PlayStation 2 game with the Elgato at 480i, it's not going to work. So overall, I do recommend it. It really gave out the picture very well. Even at 480i or 480p, works outstanding. I do recommend it just to connect it to the TV. If you're going to use it for the capture card on your own Elgato, then it's not a good one. You do have to look for other capture cards and they do work with this converter box, but that's basically it. And of course, it's a little bit light as well, but it's something to deal with because it's just $20. But I do give it a good recommendation. for just TV only, not capture. Now the Avermedia, what I really like about it is that it's USB powered, so you don't need to use a DC 5 volts to power it on. You just need USB input and you're good to go, which is a good plus. And of course, it's from Avermedia as well. Avermedia is also another company that does capture cards as well, and you could use this on their own capture cards, unlike the Portta, which I never heard at all before. It was my first time using it. It did its job done, but not for the capture device. But even as an Avermedia, for just $40, I feel like they should bring it down a little bit more, because even this piece right here, I mean, it kind of feels sturdy, but I know at some point later on, I feel like this whole long plastic piece is gonna break off, or maybe the HDMI out over here, if something hits on it, or I don't know what breaks, it might pop everything off, and you know, it's gonna leave like, you know, the shell outside. So it does feel, as you can see, you hear that wobble. It feels a little bit plastic, of course. It does feel like it, but you know, at the end, I feel like, you know, if you're moving this a lot of times, it might break at some point. But I did like the USB powered, but it did everything it did on the TV of the HDMI. Give me the good resolution, pictures look great, truly amazing even at 480i or 480p. But capturing with my Elgato, it did not work. So no surprise there. So I do recommend it as well, even though it's $40, which is, I'm kind of like half and half on that. But it's still a very good device if you do have a Avermedia capture card. So you can still use it for, you know, the TV as well, but that's on your point of view. But if you're going to capture everything on PlayStation 2 for the Elgato, well, you have to look somewhere else. Which leads up to the last product, which is the Enko Upscaler. And so far, it did everything, but it kind of went a little bit wonky at sometimes, because it did its job done. It gave me 720p and 1080p by playing my games on the TV and the capture card. But the problem I have with this one is that, of course, it's stretching everything or outputting everything at 720p and 1080p. But a lot of the games on the PlayStation 2 were 480i or 480p. So you do see a little bit of the interlaced lines if you already seen from my video on it. There are some lines that kind of jagged around through the text or their character models. So it's noticeable, but not too much. You do see it, but it's not like groundbreaking. But as it goes, it's okay. I probably do recommend you going with the other ones if you want to just play it for your TV only. But you do want to capture and play at the same time, then this one is not a bad choice. But as well with the capture card, it did its job too, but the 16:9 is there for 720p and 1080p when you capture it. So probably in your video editing software, you had to get that aspect ratio back to normal so that you could make it how, you know, the original format was for the later consoles or some of the old retro consoles. But overall, this one did everything that I wanted to do, you know, even though you had to go through that route, of course. But it did its job done. I mean, it did what it's supposed to do. I like it. I could use it for my Elgato device. And I really like it. I really do. But of course, this is all the products I use. And overall, they were great. Even though there were some caveats, some good things, bad things about it. I mean, what can you do? Not every device is perfect unless you buy those very good upscalers, which are the FrameMeister, the OSSC, and the RetroTink. But as for a budget, these are pretty good. But of course, like I said, last thing I could say about this one is that, you know, like I said, you see those interlaced lines on the TV and the Elgato themselves as well. So just be wary about that. It's noticeable, but you have to work with it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, all of them are great. One last time, this one I give it for, connected to the TV, but for a capture card, you probably have to play around with other certain capture cards. Same thing could be said about the Avermedia, but of course, with this long piece of plastic, I feel like if someone steps on it by accident or it drops down, I feel like it's going to break. So it's still not bad. The picture quality looks great even at 480i, 480p. It works tremendously well, and the good addition is that it's USB powered. And of course, the Enko one works all the above, but of course you're going to have some of those interlaced lines even though it's at 720p or 1080p depending on what games you're playing at, whatever resolution they're supposed to be at their native, back then for TVs. But since we're giving everything to modern day televisions, well, this is what you have to work with. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I have you for today, guys. I know it's one of the longest videos I ever did from these products, but I wanted to show everyone this is what I had to go through just to play PlayStation 2 games on my Elgato. But hopefully this helps out you as well. So share it with people around the world, guys, to know that yes, you could get some of these, products, but, never hurts to look around. And like I said, I bought these at Amazon. But, if you find another upscaler that is different from this one, try it out and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then you could just return it so you can get a refund. But that's pretty much it. That's all I have you for today. And hopefully next time, if I do get the OSSC or RetroTink, I will try my best to do some recordings with it to see if it works on my capture card, and seeing if I have a new capture card later on in the future, I'll try to use it as well. But I'm going to keep this one for the meantime, and I'm just going to probably return these for another time if I try to bring them back again. But thank you for watching, and keep on playing and gaming for life, guys. See you later.